after doing the scenarios, do you have any comments about the scenarios themselves, working with the tool? What that was like for you? Any questions you have?
It's not black and white.
Absolutely not. And you had some good points. The food safety would affect everybody.
Yeah.
So, how is everybody doing? For sure.
I think we came to the conclusion you might as well just keep this in your car, because likelihood of you getting back to your office before you have to go out and do something would be rare, right? Like I got a call for bars at 7 in the morning. My kids hung up on Sherry. They answered the phone and then they hung up on her. So like you don't have time to go to the office to get stuff, right?
Right.
Well,
Well,
somebody
hopefully-
yes.
Sorry?
We don't have forms already in the emergency.
There would be forms. The forms hopefully would arrive before staff are starting to be deployed though. I know that in some situations, depending on how far away the site is, someone's sent to go get the bins, but people that live close to the area could already be there. So there might be some time discrepancies. That's why we gave you a red folder to say, oh, we should have these things handy. And if you have a kit in your car, I would suggest throwing the kit in and maybe having a few of those tools and your guidelines on hand.
Is it worth having a kit out here at Centrum? A bin, I mean?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
That might be a
With
good
the-
idea.
That's a really good idea.
Especially with traffic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. Next time I have to go do boil water.
We could easily prepare you a bin
Oh, that would be wonderful.
for Centrum.
Like in Canada in this.
Yeah, I can have it because it's
Yeah.
a few that.
Yeah.
it's
Great
that-
idea.
that-
And maybe the other areas in town as well. Good. All right.
So, you can't do any of these things that we've taught you about unless you can get there. So I don't know whether anybody's read, we did an article in Synergy for this month about day in the life of an emergency response nurse. And if you haven't read it, read it, because it gives you that whole scenario. Oh my God, what do I do now? What do I do now? Oops. And everything that this poor nurse thinks about, the radio's dead, the TV's dead, your BlackBerry didn't get plugged in last night and it's showing red, and and you wake up and there's no power, and it's so cold, that power's been off for a while.
And your gas tank is
So
almost empty.
and of course, you don't have a landline anymore because you got rid of it, you just have your cell phone. That's sort of the idea. And then you go to get in your car and you don't have enough gas because you were going to fill it up because the price is going to drop the next day.
Okay,
So that's you've got to be able to respond. You got to know the risks, make your plan, and get an emergency kit. And I'll make one plug. If you're at work and something happens to your neighborhood and you can't get back there, then you might have copies of your bank accounts, your prescriptions, your everything else in your emergency kit at home, but you can't get there. So scan it. Scan all your passport, your bank account, everything onto a encrypted, password-protected USB, and then it's with you everywhere. I have a whole copy of the Emerge Prep file from OPH on here, which I update every week. All the contact numbers, all the plans, everything.
Yes.
Always with me.
Jill is the prepared, ultimate emergency prepared nurse.
She walks the talk.
So now that I've set myself up there, just watch. I swear, I've gone out at night to get gas because I wouldn't dare be the one that ran out. So professional readiness, and that's the other part of this. You're having your plan. There's the emergency response, preparedness response page, the OPH page on ozone, where all the evacuation module, the emergency plans, copies of the plans, copies of the orientation modules, the links for IMS 100. Those are all training and skill building. You have to have your CPR, your immunization yearly, your respiratory protection, your fit testing, your health risk assessment training, which is done. This is supposed to renew regularly. The evacuation I mentioned, IPAC, and your incident man. So those are all the things you need to keep up to date. It's part of accreditation, that these things are refreshed, that you're ready to go.
Excellent. So we have about 5 minutes left. So I thought maybe you could quickly pull out the little quiz, and maybe we could do the quiz together. There's a quiz in your package, and we'll go through the answers, and maybe you can hand that in as proof that you've been here today, even though you already did sign in. But then we'll wrap up with the evaluation after that. Did you guys get it? Yeah.
She's already done.
You done? Wow. All right. Some people have been very quick. How many people are done? A few? Okay, I'll give it another minute. All right, how about we get started? All right, number 1. In an emergency reception and lodging center, the PHN reports to,
Task force leader.
right, B, the health task force leader. And if you're the first one to arrive, what happens?
You're
in.
in.
You're in.
Stay in your car.
Don't identify yourself.
Good idea.
And this is why we put up all the roles and responsibilities of the health task force leader as well as the PHN. So you really need to know both roles. And just to point out that this handout in your package is the key to knowing your roles and responsibilities in detail. So I would definitely have this with me and pull it out and say, what am I supposed to do in this environment, both emergency reception and lodging center and in the home visiting. So. Number 2, health risk assessment in an emergency situation.
All of the above.
Right on. So it's rapid and focused on the risks posed. It triages and categories clients, determines if a client can remain in their setting, and identifies the need for follow-up. And number 3, when visiting homes during a prolonged power outage, which risk category best fits for this client?
A,
Right, and why would you say A?
because it's the next morning. Next morning.
Yeah, it was the high category, if you looked at your guidelines, says within 12 hours some action needs to be taken for the health of that client. So definitely it's high and needs immediate action to make alternate arrangements for that client. The purpose of the emergency health risk triage tool is to
C.
right, assist the the nurse to quickly document a health risk assessment. And number 5, preparedness for emergency response means? Right. I was with the wrong one. Yes, C. I do have an answer key, but I wasn't looking at it, and so in my mind it was all of them. C. I got it wrong. Okay, so hopefully before you leave, just kind of peruse the bins, have a peek and see what's in there, just so that you're familiar with the materials. But before you leave, if you could take a minute to fill out the evaluation, that would be very much appreciated. If you don't have the time, we can send you a fluid survey.